Please?
I wanted to talk about a subject that I always think about, and I always notice it. A person lives in the world, and there's two worlds. There's the outside world and there's the inside world. The inside world means himself, and the outside world is the world around him. The world around him, so there's people in that world around him. And now the question is, how much the person is he focused on himself, and how much is he focused on the world around him? Now, of course, when you're by yourself, you're focused on yourself. What are you going to think about the world around you? But when you're with people, when you're talking to a person, how much do you notice that there's another person that you're talking to? And how much do you think about yourself? And there is a metzius that we see it beinenu roinu, that there's a person that he's talking to the other person. The other person is just he's just a sounding board. He's just what we call in the yeshiva language, we call it a heichid dimtze. It's just a way how he can express himself. So that's what the other person is serving that purpose, that he should be able to express himself. And the MSC is that if he would be alone in his apartment, he could also express himself. He could talk to the wall. And what's the difference if you don't notice the other person or you talk to the wall? But the thing is that, so it's a good kasha. What's the difference? Let him talk to the wall when he's in his house by himself. You see from here that even
Rabbi Kaplan,
yeah.
we're mystic a little bit there. Another neshama is hearing words. It's unbelievable connections. I don't understand your chavamina.
So you see from here that Yeshua Meir, the producer, by him mysticism is a reality. He doesn't even understand the question because he sees everything mystical. There's a neshama here. So what's the question? Let him talk to the wall. But this is a neshama over here. Well, Baruch Hashem, that in our door, Tov Pes, Ikvus the Mashiach, we have such people still around, that spirituality is a reality. A neshama is a reality. A person is never going to be the same as a wall. Baruch Hashem, we have such people. Yeshua Meir, and in the door before, there was the Chofetz Chaim, that they only saw Ruchnis.
Well, you're being very cynical today, Rabbi Kaplan.
I'm cynical, but the cynicism is true.
Continue the drasha, please.
So the question, getting back to the question, what's the difference between talking to the wall and talking to the other person? Now, even without mysticism, but without Pashtus, you see from here that even the person that's the most wrapped up in himself still, to a certain degree, notices that the other person is there. And when he talks to the other person, he feels something. He feels that he's being heard. And that's why he more would rather talk to a person than to talk to the wall. Now, there was once a person that I was talking to, and I told him a whole story about myself, of something that happened in my life, a very big change that happened in my life. I told him about a dramatic change. And when I finished telling this story, I thought the person would shake his head, he would react, he would ask a question, he would show that he heard. And no, as soon as I finished the story, and Toch Kedei Dibur, the person said, I okay, so I had this and this happen to me, which was the whole similarity of his story to my story was only in a certain detail about my story. And one detail that I mentioned, a certain word, a certain language that reminded him of something of his life. So he said, okay, so now that's a person that's totally wrapped up in himself. Don't you feel that the need or the responsibility or the obligation to show the other person that you heard him, to show that you feel with him on the story that happened to him? No, it reminded him something about himself.
Hello?
Now, this person didn't even understand later when it was brought to his attention. He didn't even understand what I meant. He thought I meant that he didn't listen, that he couldn't understand that I meant something deeper. Now, I want to talk more about the positive side. There's something that happened to me. Now, a person, it says in the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, Ezel Chacham halamed mikol adam. A Chacham is somebody who learns from every person. But it's not just that he learns from every person. It could be there's more to it. He learns from everything that happens to him. Everything he sees in life. He can take a lesson from it. He can learn something from it. I read in the book, there's a book on Rab Mendel Futterfaz. He was one of the big mashpim in Chabad, and he was a big Oved Hashem and a tzaddik and a Baal Mesiras Nefesh. He was in Siberia for many years. Mendel Futterfaz, he brought back from Siberia a few stories about things that Kazakhs or former Kazakhs told him about their way of life, about horses, about how they do with horses, what they do, and he took the stories that they told him and he learned from it in Avodas Hashem. And every person can notice in things that happen around him, can notice things and commit it to his memory and use it later on in life. There's once somebody that he yelled at me when we were buying the apartment years and years ago, 40 years ago, 35 years ago maybe. And my wife, the one that was then my wife, so she sent me to the caplan that I should tell him that we have tiles in the machsan of my sister in Chovek Kaplan, and we have to move them over to the apartment to put them up on the walls of the kitchen. So I went up to the Kaplan and I said, he was there in the street in Chovek Kaplan. And I said to him, there are tiles in the machsan. I said over the exact language he told me to say. There are tiles in the kitchen over there, in the machsan over there, and we have to bring them up. So he started yelling at me. I don't know what he was yelling at. You don't know how to make a cheshbon. You don't know how to figure out how many tiles you need. I don't know what he wanted from my life. And I was so shocked. And I felt so humiliated by the way he yelled at me. And years later, when I gathered enough courage, I said to him, why did you yell at me in the street like that? Don't you see that we're buying an apartment and I didn't say one word the whole time? When you talked to him about planning how it should be set up, I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how you What's there to plan? Can't you leave it the way it is? I didn't have any ideas about what to plan. I didn't have any demand. All I cared about in buying an apartment is that there should be 2 bathrooms, and more than that, I don't care anything. And I don't know anything about windows and light and kivunim. I don't know all these things. And so what are you yelling at me? You see that I don't know anything about these things, and it has to do with being a Ben Torah. Part of it is. So what do you yell at me? So he said, well, I see it bothers you. A few years later, you're still talking about, I'm sorry. That's what he said, and I said something about it. I had a Torah to say on it. But you see, for me, again, the same thing. This person is a builder, and he's dealing with people, and the whole day he's dealing with people, buying apartments and planning apartments. And you don't see that this person is different, that he doesn't say one word about what he wants. Only the wife is asking the whole time, talking. This wall should be here, this wall should be there, this wall should be moved here and to be moved to there. Keep changing and planning and changing her mind and changing back her mind. And the husband just sits there, doesn't know, and he can't see that I'm a Ben Torah, that I'm living in a different world, I'm someplace else, I'm not in your world. Don't you see it? No, he doesn't see it. Then how could it be? I'm asking. I don't understand it. The answer must be a person in certain things. He's a builder. His whole connection with people is by talking about how the building should be and the conditions and the prices and that. But he has no idea of what the other person is. He sees everybody else, and he thinks that he sees the same world that he's in this world of building and making money, and he can't see the other person at all. And that's why he yelled at me in the street. And it took me years and years till I gathered courage to go up and say something to him. But I think it's if you think of it, it's mizazea. But the world doesn't look at it that way. The world is running and running. The world is not sensitive to sensitivities of an individual. I once heard on a tape from Shlomo Karlbach that he said, and we say in the Son of Turkish, V'shofar gadol yitaka v'kol d'mama daka yishama. So he said, they're going to blow a big shofar. There's going to be a tremendous shake-up in the world, a tremendous change, tremendous noise, tremendous tears. But in the same time, it will also be heard a cold mamadaka, the low voice, the gentle voice of the individual's pain will be heard in the same time. It won't be lost in the big changes, the big mapechas that are happening. The voice of the individual won't be lost. Cold mamadaka yishama. But the minma goes mad that the Gula Asida didn't come yet. So we're still in the matzah of our rash, and the gentle voice of the individual is not heard. I wanted to tell a small story that happened to me that I saw this week. Nothing that happened to me. It's just something that I noticed. Baruch Hashem gave me a matana, but I notice what's around me. It could be I'm not such a big tzaddik as I'm making myself sound like, but I do notice what's around me. I was waiting by the bus stop in the Knesset here, I was waiting for a bus to B'nai Brak. Going to a chasna on Tuesday night, and I was waiting for the bus to B'nai Brak. So there was a few people getting on the bus. One person that he had a bike, electrical bike, and he wanted to put it in the bottom, what they call a tamitan, where people put their luggage on the bottom of the bus. There's a door that opens up by itself. And you put your suitcases in it, and you close it up, and you go onto the bus. When you get off, you take it out from there. So he wanted this bike. It fit in there. He wanted to put it on. So he put on the bike. He put it in there. And he was one of the last to get on the bus. There's a few other people there. There was a woman, a from woman, that she said to him, You get on before me. I could be she was there first, but she said to this person, you get on before me because you already put your bike in there in that place. So if I get on and then the bus will be packed and he won't want to take on more people. And the bus was pretty much full. And he's going to want to he won't want to take on more people, so your bike will get lost. He'll ride it, you'll go away with your bike, and you'll be left over here. So you get on first. That's the whole story, the whole very simple story. But I thought, I was impressed. You see how a person, he doesn't think about, can for a few minutes put themselves on the side and understand what's happening with the other person. It's something that takes figuring out. That means he put his bike on. No, so now, but if I'm in line, if I could push myself on first, so what do I care? So either I was back or not. And another thing, what did he put it on for? How does he know for sure he'll get on the bus? The bus was pretty much full. How does he know he'll get on? What did he do it for? So let him take care of himself. Like in the Ivrit, you would say, Sheistadeh levad. No. She noticed that there could come out a problem to a person, so you get on first. That's a person that's not wrapped up in himself. A person that notices others. A person that notices a takus, a very sensitive and gentle point in other people. And that's called a healthy person. They could see what's around them. They could see other people. There's some people, they can't see the other person. They can only see themselves. I was once on a bus and I saw somebody. And I didn't want that he should ask me, where are you going, what are you doing? So right away I asked him a question about himself. As soon as I did that, he opened his mouth and he didn't close it until the end of the ride, till we had to get off. Just talked about himself and himself and himself. And I knew that it would come the time you give him a chance. The truth is, I don't even know if I had to give him a chance. He was just an opportunity by himself. So then he didn't ask me where I'm going, and I didn't have to go. No, it says we're going to bench Rosh Chodesh this month, this Shabbos, and we say, Mishas and Ishmael, Senu Galsim, Avde Hui Galo, Sonu Bekarov, because in the Chenum Haba Kavasoret, Chaverim Kol Yisrael, and Dama, oh man. We have to. What is it? What does it have to do with Kiddush HaChodesh? Because we're coming to say the main Kiddush HaChodesh is in Eretz Yisrael. And in Eretz Yisrael, the whole Klal has to be there in order to be Mekadesh Chodashim. So we say We said, I'll come back, but it should be Chaverim Kol Yisrael. It'll be a Achdus. That's the true Klal Yisrael in Eretz Yisrael. Because the Ragachover, the Rambam says that Klal, the Rambam in Pirush HaMishnayos and Bechoros, in the fourth parak, the Rambam says that Klal Yisrael is only called Kol in Eretz Yisrael. In Chutz La'aretz, there are like a lot of separate individuals. In Eretz Yisrael, they're called one. The Ragachover explained that you need something to make them one. Lulav tzarich eged, there's a Gemara. According to the Mandoma, that lulav needs an eged, that you should tie them up together. They become like one. And without tying them together, they wouldn't be like one. They would be four separate meaning. The same thing the Ragachover says, there's a Gemara in Chagiga in the end of the second parak. Ein matzbilim ba'avir. If there was a wave of water that flew into the air, and he threw Kalim into the water to be matzbil them, it doesn't help, because Ein matzbilim ba'avir. Says the Ragachover that the mikveh, the walls of the mikveh, make all the water into one. It's not a lot of separate drops of water. It's all one through the walls of the mikveh. If it's in the air, even though it's 40 separate sides, and it's not a mikveh. Same thing, that Klal Yisrael, to be called, to be called one, to be united, you need Eretz Yisrael to make them united. And that we should be Zocher, we carve that should come like that. And then Klal Yisrael is called, so then they give in the Kaddish, the Chodesh in Eretz Yisrael. And because of that we say, Chaverim Kol Yisrael, the Achdus that'll be through Kiddush HaChodesh, through Eretz Yisrael, will help us be Mekadosh the Chodesh. And Omar, Amen.
Amen, amen. Thank you, Rabbi Kaplan.
The shit can what?
Yeah, no.
We should be Zohar and Shir, we should be Mekadosh of the real again. And we should be Zohar to Chaverim Kol Yisrael, which is only through being in a situation where we notice the other person.
Amen.
Good.